Today I'm here with Daniela Urban. And Daniela, tell me the organization name that you work with.
I'm at the Center for Workers' Rights. We're based out of Sacramento.
Okay, and you have been filing, I don't know what the word is for it. You're not filing class action lawsuits, but you're filing actions against the EDD on behalf of claimants?
Sure, let me explain. So we did actually file a class action lawsuit, but at the same time, we filed the settlement agreement that we had reached with EDD on the matters covered by the class action lawsuit. So we had hoped to avoid as much of the formal litigation process as possible so that we could get claimants paid more quickly through a settlement agreement rather than having to go through trial.
Got it. That makes sense. Now, Ginny Silver, she and I are friends, and she has already made a video with you about the conditional payment pay now program. So this is kind of in conjunction with the video that she already did. I have some follow-up questions for you. And again, I want to thank you for your time today. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Okay, so the first thing is, and you did cover this in your video with Jenny, but the EDD actually has until September 30th to pay these conditional payments. I think a lot of people were confused. They were expecting that if they had pending payments, they would be paid on July 23rd because that's when the EDD started paying out these payments. But the process won't be complete until September 30th. Is that correct?
That's right. Although we do expect that EDD will be able to comply with the majority of payments well before that. In fact, most claimants should have been paid by today already. At least those claimants who had regular UI claims and who showed the pending status as sort of in the regular course of their benefits years. Those that are still pending may be those who do qualify for PEUC and were pending on their reapplication for benefits. We haven't received confirmation from EDD that all of those claimants have now been paid, as well as the third group that may still be waiting, which are those who reopened their claim and were waiting for the eligibility review as a result of that reopening. So those second two groups may be in the process of being paid. So some might have been paid and some not, or might not yet have been paid at all.
Okay. I actually am getting reports. There's two different scenarios. One scenario is people have had 13 to 17 payments paid, but there's one or two straggling that are still pending. And on the flip side of that coin, I'm getting a lot of people saying that they've had one or two payments that have been paid, but the majority of the payments are still pending. Do you have any insight as to why that might be?
Yes, so depending on what has caused their pending issue, that might be causing the delayed full implementation of conditional payments. So for the folks who received only a couple of weeks of payments and are still waiting more, I wonder if the interim period was covered by a reopening or a reapplication, in which case they might be in the second phase of the implementation. For those who are paid most of their weeks and just have a couple remaining, if it's just this last certification, it may be because those payments will also be made conditionally, in which case it will go into pending status until EDD makes that conditional payment.
Now, I have a question about how the EDD is counting this 2 weeks.
Yes.
So a lot of people got stuck in something called a quarterly review back in July. So if I certified on July 25th and my two payments immediately go to pending when I certify on July 25th, does the EDD count my 2 weeks of pending in terms of getting the conditional payments? Do they count that starting July 25th, or would it take them an additional 2 weeks to realize that I have 2 weeks of pending payments?
That's a great question. So there's a few different scenarios, and some we know the answer to, and some we still are waiting for confirmation from EDD. If it is an ongoing eligibility issue, meaning every payment going forward from the date you start receiving conditional payments ongoing are conditional. EDD can wait to the end of the week following the week you certified in order to make those payments. So yes, they can delay each payment and and give themselves a grace period in that eligibility. So if it's a quarterly earnings report on PEUC, that I would argue should only be a one-time eligibility review because it's a quarterly determination. It's not determined every week whether you have new earnings. So they shouldn't be holding up those additional weeks, and only the determination from the start of the eligibility should be in effect. But we don't know how specific EDD has gotten with the rollout of this program yet. So it is possible that they are saying, well, this week is conditional, therefore we're going to wait to the last date that we're able to before we pay your benefits. And it isn't 2 weeks always. It's the end of the week following the week they became aware of the eligibility issue. And so some people learn of some people, their eligibility issues actually arise before the certification because it's not related to certifying at all. And then some, it'll be a little bit shorter than 2 weeks if it was based on the certification.
Okay. And you said from the time the EDD is aware that there's an eligibility issue. So if I haven't certified for my weeks yet, and I don't have any pending weeks, the EDD would not be aware that I had pending weeks until I certified anyway. So that could mean a minimum of 4 weeks that a claimant would go without payments.
Yeah. So if trying to piece scenarios together in my mind to make sure I cover everybody. But what should be is if you haven't certified for past weeks because they're still reviewing something from the past, that shouldn't, if it's not an initial eligibility issue, that should not happen. Now you should always be able to keep certifying while they make that eligibility determination. And so if the issue is from the certification weeks, then it will always be 2 weeks or less that they have to make that conditional payment. Now, there are outside factors for these eligibility issues. The one that we see in our office, because we deal with a lot of immigrant workers, is work authorization. So they get notice from USCIS retroactively that you may have not been eligible in the past, but it affects your eligibility going forward, in which case that might affect the past eligibility issues and you might still have a conditional payment, but it's not related to the timing of your certification. They could have gotten that, that information about that issue at any point within the certification period.
Okay. And I think you addressed this, but I just want to rephrase the question a little bit. So if I have had multiple weeks pending and there is an eligibility flag on my account and I receive the conditional payments, the next time I go to certify, I should also receive the payments without a problem, because what I was worried about is that since I haven't had my eligibility interview, for example, the flag would still be there. And I was thinking maybe that would trigger the payments, the new certification payments, to get stuck in pending as well. But that shouldn't happen.
So at least, I mean, we still have to confirm with EDD about how particular they're getting with the rollout. So I can't promise that this is actually what's happening, but what should happen is it should only be the weeks that are under eligibility review that are allowed to have the delayed payments. Okay. So for example, someone who goes on vacation, properly certified, look, I'm not eligible this week, I'm on vacation, I'm not looking for work, but that's only for that 1 week of benefits. That might still be under eligibility review, but your next certification, no eligibility issue, the vacation week was only applicable to that week in the past, you should receive your benefits timely without it being conditional. Because the program is new, we don't have enough data points yet to know if we're actually having EDD properly pay that way, but that's how it should ultimately work for claimants.
Okay, that's good news. What if some of my pending payments happened while I was in a different benefit year and while I had pending payments that are now conditionally paid, and I didn't open a new claim because I was worried that would mess up my pending payments? Could that also be part of the reason why some of the payments are still pending and the others were not?
Yeah, so if someone didn't reapply and they needed to, they should reapply. So we've been telling people, EDD's guidance on this has been a little unclear, but we've been telling people, just make the reapplication and get that going so that hopefully both can be cleared at the same time. But even if they're not, at least your first pending issue is cleared. And then once they roll out the conditional PEUC payments, if you've made your reapplication, you should then be able to get those benefits, which is the second half of the rollout.
Okay. And I want to also confirm that this only applies, the conditional payment pay now program only applies to pending payments. It doesn't apply to claims that would say not paid, disqualified, appeal. It only the exact terminology of pending payments. You're nodding. So
yep, that's right. We are working with EDD on resolving some of those other categories of claims. That's in our continued negotiations. But no, it's only currently pending status, which also means that you have certified. Because we know sometimes the issue is there's an eligibility issue that comes up and then you stop being able to certify. And those claimants will only receive weeks for those weeks that they have certified.
And then I think my last question for you today is, I have a lot of viewers that are very worried that with a lot of the programs ending on September 4th, that they won't ever get these payments. But that is not the plan. This is designed for, since the EDD has up until September 30th to get people paid. Obviously, there will be some payments still being paid and being processed, even after the programs have terminated. Any payments for weeks prior to the week ending September 4th should be paid, as long as there aren't eligibility issues once the EDD actually has the interview.
Exactly right. Yes. So even though the program ends September 4th, EDD will still honor any payments that it should have made or will be making as a result of pre-September 4th eligibility.
All right, Daniela, that was it for me. I really appreciate your time. Anything else you think my viewers might need to know about this?
No, I mean, we're equally worried about the end of benefits in September, and we hope that Congress acts, but it's not looking super good right now.
I know.
And hopefully people will at least get the benefits they've already been entitled to.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you for your help in getting people paid. Have a great day. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.